Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work and are backed by science. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body, and that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. We use only top-of-the-line formulations dosed for maximum results and the best flavoring systems available. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
You're funny.
Like I said, do you like my tail?
Welcome back to Iron Rage. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined as always by Lee Priest. How is it going over there in Australia during these weird times?
You're lucky I checked my phone in the morning, Dave. I said to myself, Lee, you know what? You deserve a sleep in today. You know, Dave hasn't sent a message for the show. The alarm went off at 5. I said, you know what? I better check the phone. Can you do the show in 30 minutes?
You know what actually reminded me to actually text you? Tony Doherty had texted me. I'm supposed to get him on tomorrow for a little interview. And then I said, oh no, Lee, I forgot to text Lee. Holy shoot.
I'm easy to forget, you know,
Yeah.
But you know. Tell me, actually, before we get going, tell me if you've heard this before.
You know, is that the Tasmanian devil?
I don't know. I just wonder if you ever heard that before.
Oh, I thought it was the Tasmanian
But
devil.
I did want to say this. I did want to say this. This.
Good. Have you ever seen a Tasmanian devil, by the way? I was actually in Tasmania, but
Yes. I've seen many of them. You never seen one?
no, I've never seen one in person. I heard they're nasty little buggers.
They are. They got. I think they're one of the. I think out of all the animals, I think they got one of the strongest bites on them, like pound per square inch and shit.
Yeah.
They can just bite through bone. And I'll send you some photos. I've got some photos on my phone of a Tasmanian devil.
When I
Doesn't quite look like the cartoon.
No, it doesn't look like the Bugs Bunny one. No, they're nastier looking. I went to.
They look like a little. They look like a little pug. They look like a little pug dog with a pointy nose and big fucking teeth like this.
Are they still like? Do they run around in the wild? Could you actually see them like wandering around?
Down Tasmania, you would. A lot of the zoos here have them and stuff, and you'll see them at the zoos. And there's actually a place not far from me, probably an hour and a half drive. It's called Aussie Ark, and then they sort of help the koalas and stuff to breed them up there. And they've actually got the Tasmanian devil up there where they have a big place. You can actually go up there and spend the night and see all the breeding program of the Tasmanian devil. Sounds like a horror movie, doesn't it? People.
Well, we're looking at a picture right now. That's scary as hell looking. Yeah.
You go camping for the night, the Tasmanian devils sneak out and start. It looks like a little pug dog that's turned into a Hulk dog.
It looks like a big rat is what it looks like to me. I don't know. I was in Tasmania for one day. When I did my tour of Australia in 2012, I went down there with Xavier Wills. And we stayed at his house for the day, and I did a seminar at a hardcore gym down there. But I was only there for like less than 24 hours, so I didn't really get a chance to explore.
What gym did you go? Was that Slaughterhouse Gym?
Yes, Slaughterhouse Gym, absolutely. Yeah, it was awesome down there.
Yeah, Wayne and his brother run that gym. Wayne actually, sadly, is back in jail, but
oh, is he really?
Decided to lose his plot, and he got mad and went back to a pub down there and shot up with a gun.
Oh, really?
Had a moment lapsing, but
that was a hardcore gym. That was a seriously hardcore, like scary hardcore gym, right?
Yeah, they're great guys. Those two brothers. They run the powerlifting and all that. They used to put on shows and that. But Tasmania actually is a great place. They got the Port Arthur. That's where a lot of the convicts stayed down there. And if you go around, it's really very historic. My grandmother came with me once when I went to Tasmania, and you go to these places where there'll be these old brick homes that the convicts built, and when they built them, they put their fingerprints in the bricks.
Oh, really?
Let's just say, coming home from Tasmania, my grandmother's suitcase weighed about fucking 60 kilos because she wanted to bring some bricks home. And
oh, really? She stole some bricks?
They're only on the land. You can go get them. Like, I had relatives that lived down there, but Tasmania is sort of like down in the south. It's like they say they're inbred in Tasmania.
They got like those people who live there.
There's actually a good movie if you want to see a good sort of horror movie, like Wrong Turn and all those sort of movies.
Yeah.
There's one called The Dying Breed. It's about Tasmania and this inbred family that kills people, and it's pretty interesting.
Just what I want to watch late at night before I go to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler added it to his watch list. Yeah.
The Dying Breed. It's nothing like watching a girl get raped over a table by a guy like this.
You have to think who the sick mind was that thought the movie up, but it probably is based on a true story or something like that.
I just look at the thing and I just watch the movie thinking, she looks like she's enjoying it to me.
You're not good. Only you would think that.
Just go with it. If you try and fight them, that's what the rapist wants. You don't fight it. You just go with it.
That's right.
As someone that's been raped many times.
Is that your lube there?
Steve wouldn't let me up.
Is that the lube? Is that the lube? Yeah.
All those screams that came out of that office, Dave. Did you ever come help me? Fuck no. You just carried on.
I was just going to ask you about people who have what different bodybuilders' jobs were coming up. Obviously, we know what your job was, so.
I don't want to say anything, Dave, but there used to be a famous saying: "To get ahead, you got to give it." Now I don't know what that.
All right, now you lived in Venice, California. You trained at the heyday there where all the bodybuilders were there. Now, granted, a lot of those top pros had contracts, and so that was how they supported themselves. But for the bodybuilders, and there were a lot of upcoming guys that were training there who wanted to make it, so to speak. What were guys doing for a living back then? Because when I would go to California in the 90s, I said, you know what? I can't live here. No one works. I said, how am I going to live here? I'm going to be poor. I said, there's no work ethic here. What do people do for money there? aside from the possible the gay for pay that was going on, did people really have jobs? Like I know Cormier was a bouncer at a club.
I'm not sure, because this is what I used to wonder, because lucky enough when I first got there and I met Ed, and Ed sent photos to Weeder, I was lucky enough to get a contract which got me by.
How much? Let me ask you a question. How much was a contract for Lee Priest when he first arrived? I mean, you didn't do anything.
My very first one was like $2,500 a month.
Oh, that was pretty good for a guy who never did anything. I mean, in terms of the IFBB. Awesome.
That wasn't bad, because rent was still cheap back then.
Yeah, it was like $250,
Yeah, so it wasn't bad. So it got me by, and that. So yeah, but I used to always wonder, because I'd see these, and as you get more money eventually, like I was never into I tried, I said, growth hormone twice, so I didn't waste a lot of money on drugs. I just kept it for mainly bills and shit. And there's sometimes you'd be like, getting ready for a show would be more because you're buying more food and stuff like that. But then I'd see these amateurs come to town and they'd be like, I'm taking all this growth, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They're driving a nice car. I'm thinking, something's going on here. They must have some little sugar daddy out the back. And I think this was even before the Blackman days of the magazine. So I knew Steve wasn't funding this little puppy going on. So, but people always say I did gay for pay, but this is, I can honestly look. If I did, I'd tell you I don't give a shit. But sadly, I didn't. Yeah. But this is what would upset me, because I used to think to myself, "What's wrong with me?" I was like one of those women. Aren't I beautiful? Aren't I beautiful enough? Aren't I handsome?
Oh, no one ever asked you to do gay for pay there?
No.
Really?
I'm very upset by this, Dave.
I wonder why though. You seem to be like the quintessential gay for pay, guy that they would hire.
I thought so too, but maybe I was
blonde, white hair. You're got the big arms.
Ted, remember Ted Dixon that used to be in Gold's Gym?
Ted Dixon. You go after me all the time.
Well, Ted was there, and he used to date that big personal trainer Ray. Really big, really big, huge guy. Yeah. But Ted would always go have lunch, and Ted would always say to me, "Lee, yes, you're a nice guy and that, but you know, you're more like a son to me. I wouldn't fuck you or anything.
They like the big moose guys, though, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. I used to say that makes sense because my father's gay, so you pretty much are like my father. So, you know. But no, I never. The only time I ever got money from a gay guy. This guy used to email me, and you know, back in the email days before, I think not even MySpace was out yet. He'd be like, Lee, can you come and flex your arms for me? If I bring some dumbbells, can you pump them up and pose them? I'm like, no. He goes, but I like to see. He goes, I like to see your arms. I said, we'll go to the fucking gym. I train at the gym. You can see lots of arms. Yeah. Oh, no, I want to see yours. But so then this went on forever. I said, look, I don't do that type of stuff. Blah, blah, blah. I said, go to any gym. So one day I was at World Gym because, you know, when you go to World Gym, there's just the regulars, Eddie Giuliani, Zabo, Joe Gold, Arnold. Yeah. And one day there was this guy I never recognized before. And as I'm training away with my friend Mark, I'm looking over this guy and he'll sometimes be looking at me. And I'm like, oh, I just train away. And at the end, I'm just about to leave and go downstairs. He starts coming downstairs. He goes, hi, Lee. I said, oh, hi. He goes, I'm such and such, you know, the one. I said, okay. He's like, yeah. He goes, that was wonderful. I said, he goes, I got something for you. I'm like, oh, he's got something for me. And he pulls out $1,000 and he goes,
really?
Here's $1,000. He goes, here's $1,000 for letting me watch you train. I said, I didn't let you watch me train. I said, it's a public gym. I said, you know, you can do whatever. He goes, oh, no, here, take it. I really enjoyed that. So I said, oh, well, if you want, I said, I'm doing legs tomorrow.
Now you got greedy. Yeah, you got greedy.
Yeah, but then he goes, where you going now? I said, I'm just going to the firehouse. Then he goes, can I come? I said, well, if you want. I said, it's a public restaurant. So he came along. We just sat there talking. I found out he's like a businessman, married, has 3 kids. I'm thinking, I should have done something. I could have blackmailed this motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Did he at least buy you lunch?
So then, he brought me as breakfast. He brought me breakfast and he goes, here's another $350 for eating with me.
Wow. Dude. But so, you know, that's how they suck these guys in, Lee, though, because they give you money for doing nothing, and then before you know it, they're asking you to, you know, drop your drawers.
Yeah. Well, that was only $1,350 I got one morning for doing nothing. But then he did try and write back later on and goes, oh, I really like to watch you train again. Could you do it for a smaller fee? I said, no, that's $1,000. You set the bar.
You set the bar too high, right? Can't go back now.
But I always thought to myself, you know what, I should have done something, and then got photos of it and said, you know, hey mate, because I figure he didn't tell me the company he was with. It's like some big law firm, and he was married with kids, but he's one of these little closet ones that likes muscular men.
We know about those.
Come to think of it, it did remind me of Steve a bit, but I don't think it was. It wasn't Steve because he did have bacon and eggs, and he doesn't eat bacon, I don't think.
So do you think a lot of guys were doing that back then, or do you think there were guys that were legitimately working?
No, I think a lot were doing some stuff because they couldn't have been working, because I used to train a fair bit. I'd go and train, I'd hang out. I'd just go past the gym to chat to someone, and these people were there more than me, so they didn't have a fucking... Unless they were working at night doing something, but they were there more than me. Then you see them down the firehouse, you just see them wandering around Body Alive and all those stores and hanging out in fucking RxMuscle all day. So I'm thinking, well, definitely. But I think a lot of them too sold gear. That was like a big thing. But the gear sales were mainly from... The German tourists would come over from somewhere. For some reason, the Germans had all the drugs, and they would come over. Yeah. Then you'd see them make friends with all the pro bodybuilders. They come over in their little rental car. 2 months later, they're driving the nice fucking Mercedes. They've got a place down on the beach.
I had a good German connection back in the day. They used to fly over there with suitcases full of stuff. I don't know. I don't know how they got away with it, to be honest with you.
No, do I? Because you see them out in the car park sometimes at Gold's out the back. They just open up their trunk and they've got all these drugs in there. It's almost like a fucking garage sale. All these bodybuilders at the back of the trunk. It's like, oh, wonder what's happening over there. Oh, they're all looking how to change a spare tire, are they? What the fuck's going on?
You know what though? When I went to Gold's in like the early 90s, I was like afraid to even talk about drugs there, because it seemed like that was like, you know, the obvious place. Like there had to be undercover agents in there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, probably. But that's the thing, because that's why I get annoyed when I'm on live on Instagram that people say, what drugs you taking, Lee? What do you think of this cycle? You know, hand on heart, I can honestly say, when Dillette lived with me for 8 months, we never once discussed drugs. I'd occasionally see what he was taking because he put it on the coffee table, but I never asked him how much you're taking or how often, or even when I go to the firehouse with other pros, we just never discussed it. It was just like, okay, we know you're taking it, but I don't care what you're taking or how much. But today, everyone's so into this, how much you're taking, what are you taking? It's like, why is there such this big thing on fucking drugs that's just end all to be all? It's like,
I used to have guys, Lee, I would have guys literally, beg me to go out to dinner, lunch. I'll treat you this and that because what they wanted to do is just pick my brain,
the secret, Dave.
Of what the secret cycles were. No, it was serious. Like, they thought there was some kind of magic formula because back in the 90s, there was no internet, so you really couldn't research this stuff. So, you could read a book, you could read the Bill Phillips anabolic reference guide, but no one knew how to apply it.
Yeah, I never even read any of those books. I remember I used to get that anabolic guide that would come out every year, and these young kids will know that back to front. In the back it had, I think they'd tell me, oh, that one's fake. You look at the picture, oh, yeah, it's a fake one. This is, I'm like, but to me, it's like, even when you say, like people, to do all these combinations, I said, okay, I tell you what I take. If Dorian said what he took and Paul Gillette said what he took, I said, how's that help you? Everyone's different. I could respond great to Test and Deca. You might not. You might respond to fucking Prop and Tren or whatever else. So the only way to really find out what works is to use small amounts in your own body to see how you feel, how you react, if your strength goes up, if you hold water. I said, just going online going, oh, fuck, look at this cycle here. I'm going to try that one. I found Dorian's cycle. This will make me like Dorian. It's like, just the whole fucking mentality. I just don't get why they're so obsessed on drugs, but you can't get it out of the head. Then you want, I'm going to do my first cycle, Lee. I'm going to run some orals with such and such. What orals do you think I should take? I'm like, oh, God.
Well, the thing that drives me crazy is the new term. I hate this term. I don't know why. I just hate it. I'm cruising on 150 milligrams a week for 6 months.
I hate that, too.
Oh,
Lee, are you blasting right now or cruising, Lee? Oh, fucking I like to blast you in the head with a fucking 9 mil. That's like, that's the thing, that they don't come off. And they'd say to me, too, Lee, when you come off, how long are we off for? I'd be like, at least 4 months. Because the longest I ever took it would be if I dieted for a show. If the show was 12 to 16 weeks, that's when I was on. But then if I didn't have a show for another 8 months, I'd come off for 4, 5, 6 months and just eat like a fucking pig.
Right, but these guys, off for them was like 500 milligrams a week.
I don't get that. It's like, how can you say you're off when you're cruising? It's like, that's not off.
You're cruising for a bruising is what you are.
Well, I get asked a lot too about, oh, Lee, what about Clomid, this and that? And to this day, once I come off a cycle, I've never done any type of Clomid or HCG or anything like that. When I'm off, I'm off. Normally if I'm dieting 16 weeks, around that 14-week mark, I'm starting to come off it now because I'm like, I'm sick of taking it. I don't want to have a shot, a week out from a show. I've done that before where you have a shot in the shoulder.
You do
and
a
you're like,
shot.
oh, fuck my shoulder. You can't train properly. Or then you got this fucking lump there. You're going to look like an idiot on stage. So I tried to, slowly get off everything even before the show was there. So I just didn't have those sort of problems where, I forget who it was once. Which female bodybuilder was it when she was on stage, had that big fucking lump in her ass?
It was like oozing. It was like oozing, I think, too. Didn't Iris have a problem on her once?
It might have been Iris one year.
They kind of marked it down for it, I think, right? On her glute or something like that?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It's like, because when you're that lean, if you're having a shot somewhere,
she lost, I think, the Arnold Classic because of that, Yeah,
so. And I don't get why guys, it's like, the shows, like they think, oh, I've got to be on my cycle. Like I had a show Saturday, I've got to have my shot Thursday. And that's like, you're not going to lose any size from fucking Thursday to Saturday. Why are you going crazy?
I think it's more psychological, probably.
It's like use some orals or something if you're going to get that crazy about it. But back to the money thing. Now I think there was a lot of weird stuff going on in Venice because I didn't see anyone collecting aluminium cans on the street. Otherwise, you'd have to fight the homeless for that shit out there. But I saw used to be a guy called Skates, a black guy, a real funny guy, homeless, but he had funny stories. He used to wash your car when you're in the gym for $5 or $10. Oh, he was funny. Sort of method no teeth. Hey, go, Lee. Hey, fucking.
Was that the guy in the parking lot diagonally across the street? Did he run was that the car wash?
This was before the proper car wash come along. Skates used to be a guy that had a hose and a bucket and had all his gear and he fucking come around.
People don't realize there was a car detailing service in the parking lot of Gold.
Yeah, the guy that does that now is Jim. His name's Jim. He used to train at World Gym and stuff like that. He used to do the car washes there a lot. But before Jim, it used to be Skates, just his homeless guy. But, I gave him credit. He was always out there trying to get stuff. But the thing was, Skates was funny because even if he didn't wash my car, I'd give him $5 if I had like me. And then he got to the point one day, all I had was, like a couple of dollars. I think I had like $2 on me. I gave to him. He's like, what? $2? what am I going to do with $2? You normally give me $5. I'm like, fucking hell. It's like, but then word used to get out because I'd always walk to the gym sometimes when I lived on Venice Boulevard. I'd talk to the homeless. They'd come walking with me. They're like, oh, you're so cool. You talk to us. And half the time, you know, people are like, oh, homeless people are this, that. But, you know, about 5 that I spoke to were just normal people. They had jobs, had marriages, lost their job,
right,
which caused problems in the house. So they lost the house, fight with the wife, got divorced, and now they're on the street. So I always figured it can happen to anybody. So I always treat them with respect. And that, you know, sometimes you get a few crazy ones that are out there. But, hey, I got on fine with them too, Dave.
I'm sure you did.
I spoke their language. But the funniest time was when Powerhouse Gym was opening up, the Davishers were opening up Powerhouse Gym on Main Street.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this homeless guy. I said, oh, we're having this big thing tonight. I said, let me talk to the Davishers because they're having this big buffet, all this food. I said, let me talk to the people that are having the gym. When the opening's over, there could be a lot of food left over. I'll see if you can have it. So I asked, and they said, oh, sure. So I found him again on the street. And I said, hey, tonight when it's over, get your friends and come up. So about 10 p.m. at night when the grand opening was almost finishing, I look outside fucking the window of Powerhouse there, and there's probably like 20 homeless all lined up.
Oh, really? You fed them all, huh?
Like a soup kitchen. And all of a sudden they come in and they got their clothes and they're getting sandwiches and putting sandwiches in their pockets and they're fucking taking this.
That's
this
awesome.
This old lady was over there and this guy was putting his finger in the dip bowl. He's like this. He said to this other homeless old lady, he goes, what's this? She's like, I don't know. I didn't cater this fucking affair. But it was great. And I had some of the funniest people. Then one time, this old lady, I used to always give her some money. She'd always hang out the front near the side door of the firehouse there. And one time I came out, I just didn't have any money. And I had I think I had half a hamburger left over because I ordered too much food and chips. I figured, I don't have anything to give her. So I gave her the bag with the food in. Yeah. I got 3 feet away. I'm only 3 feet away. All of a sudden, boom, fucking container hits me in the back.
Oh, she threw it at you?
I want money, not fucking food.
Yeah, they want to buy alcohol. That's why, yeah.
I wasn't upset that it hit me with the container. I'm upset that I would have eaten that if she didn't fucking want it. Just the way she threw it at me. I'm thinking, oh, fucking hell. But then your word got out because I used to give money to the homeless. Because people are like, oh, Lee, don't give it to the homeless. They're going to spend it on drugs or alcohol. I'm like, hey, if alcohol is what makes them happy and makes them feel good, who am I to fucking judge them, Right. If you're living on the street. So I got to the point where, because I drive that big Hummer everywhere, skates in, that would tell people, well, he's got the Hummer. I got to the point where, where Rose Cafe is and that where the stop sign is near RxMuscle, I could just pull up there as soon as I stop. Hey, are you Lee? Yeah. My mate Skate says you give out money.
The word out.
Normally driving around Venice, the little side pocket door on the Hummer, I had lots of 5s and 1s in there. I was like fucking just going around handing out money to the homeless people.
That is like, funny. Well. That's very funny.
The homeless, I know how the homeless got paid, Dave. I used to give them money.
You were their benefactor over there, evidently. Yeah. Now, a lot of guys train people at Gold's. There was a lot of trainers there that were competitive bodybuilders. Of the guys who were trainers who competed, who would you say were the most popular guys there?
I don't know if Charles Glass was competing back in the early 90s. I think he'd retired, but Charles would probably be the most popular. I know Arnie List was still competing, I think, and he was training people.
And Carl, the brother, was training, right?
He had a big clientele.
Wasn't Jody Friedman also training people?
Yeah, because they were married, weren't they? Yeah. They were together, I think. Yeah. Those two were doing it. And then there was, I forget, there's a guy called Zachary Love. I think he used to train people.
Phil Goglia trained people too over there, right?
Yeah, he used to have that place on Abbot Kinney, didn't he? That fitness place. I think Will Harris was still training people back then. I think he's still training people.
Was Billy Smith there when you were there?
Yeah, Billy Smith. Yeah, he had that because he had that whole place there in Gold's, didn't he? That
what was it called? He had like a whole system he created.
Yeah, it's like I can't remember it now, but he was based out of Gold's, Billy, but he had a lot of clientele. I'm just trying to think of who. There were, as I said, these supplement dealers from Germany would come over, and before long, they were training people too.
I'm sure they were.
They had the permanent trainer and supplements.
Right.
Yeah, but then you just had a few different people like David Luna. He would train people there in at World Gym. He was like an old gymnast type. And there was that guy. Remember that guy that used to train people there? He looked like Richie Cunningham.
Oh yeah, who is that guy? He was always there.
Always. He was like, he almost looked identical to Richie Cunningham.
I thought it was Ron Howard.
Actually, yeah. It looked like a cross between the both of them. Yeah, what was his name? But he was there, whatever time you got there in the morning to late at night. He'd be training people.
He had to make money, that guy. Yeah.
Oh, had to be. So, yeah, but they were the main ones. But, yeah, I think Mike O'Hearn, he was still training people then too.
Oh, okay.
And himself. He's still a fixture there. But you'd see a few come and go and stuff like that. But, you know, the ones that were still there, like I think, who's the other guy?
Tito Raymond trains people there now, I know, regularly.
Yeah, not Arnie List. Who's the other guy that trains people there? He's got the glasses. He's got his own little rack now. It's like they got their own little space. Don't come into my space. This is my power rack. But he's still there. I saw him there. It's funny when I went back like last year and there was this old lady there. She's from Germany and she remembered me. She said, "Oh my God, Lee." And she's like probably in her 80s and she's still there.
Oh, she's still there.
But there's so many it was weird because I was just walking around the gym and like, "Oh, Lee, I haven't seen." Some of these people I haven't seen for 20 years.
And it's the same people?
Almost the
same people training.
just older.
Yeah.
It was almost like going on one of those TV shows. This is your life. Yeah. Remember this voice?
You can go to Bev. You can go to Bev Francis gym in New York, and I'm telling you, it's the same. It's the same group of people for the last 30 years. They just got a little older. That's it. Same crew at night. The daytime crew. I'm telling you, it's almost the same exact people. It's crazy.
Well, I loved it because it's like going back in there. It's like all the memories come flooding back. It's almost like brought a tear to my eye. And then I got down there early in the morning because Eddie Giuliani was there, and seeing Eddie again, Eddie started crying when he saw me. It was really nice. So, yeah, because Eddie and I always got on great. And sadly, Eddie's
How old is Eddie now?
Oh, he'd have to be late 70s, wouldn't he? Or
I don't know.
I know he's not. I don't think he's there anymore because his wife passed away a few years ago, so he moved out to be with his daughter out near Rancho Cucamonga. But I still keep in contact with him. But yeah, but just even going in there, seeing everybody, like I said, it was like going back in time. Even though everyone's older, it just felt like, you know, if you're going home again and then just sitting up on the bike. And it's almost like, you know, when you go somewhere, you haven't been there forever, but when you get back there, it's like you never left.
Right. It's like a nostalgic feeling,
Yeah, everything's a bit older and stuff, but everything, sitting up on the bike, it was almost like I was there, like the first time I walked in 92 and Kent Keane was on the counter and stuff. And so I used to love Kent because remember Kent Keane in the day, everyone had a number. But he
knew everyone's number. Yeah.
Oh, he'd see you coming. 5742, you're in. 6879, you're in. I think, how the fuck does he remember everybody's fucking number? It's just
because he does it every day. That's why. That's all he
but
did.
Still, how many people come in there? Like there's hundreds of people. He's just like 9971. You're in. It's like, his brain must have still been on point.
and Don the Ripper Ross was always there too back in the day before he died.
He'd always get excited like this when he's talking. If you get too close, he'd spit at you. He'd always have that spit in his mouth.
Yeah, he was so excited. Yeah, he was so excited.
It's one of the funniest ones because I'd always talk to Mike Mensa sometimes, and when people would see Mike towards the ladies, he'd always be out the front with his bit of belly on him and smoking away. I remember coming to the gym today, standing at the front, and I'd go, "Hey, Mike, Lee, come here." I said, "Yeah." I thought he was going to tell me some words of wisdom. He's like, "I've worked it out, Lee." I said, "What have you worked out?" He goes, "You know that song, How Great Thou Art?" I said, "Yeah, I've heard it." He goes, "That's about Arthur Jones. How great thou art." Arthur Jones is God. I'm like, okay, have a good morning.
Isn't it weird how he lost his mind like that? You know, and I blame Arnold. Arnold is the one who did it to him.
Ever since the 80 Olympia.
Yeah, the 80 Olympia blew his mind. Arnold like completely out-psyched him there and made him lose.
But you always get a lot of funny characters there. One of the great ones I love talking to was James Caan, the actor, because he loved Aussie Rules football. So another time I was at that stop sign near Rose Cafe. Yeah. James Caan sticks his head in the window. "Hey, you going, Lee, to Sydney Swans?" And I don't follow it, but I just pretend I do. "Yeah, that's good." Next thing, this car behind me. Bang, 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 bang. James Caan leans back, looks at the car and goes, "Why don't you fucking go around?"
James Caan was a tough guy back in the day, you know.
That's the guy who goes around. He's like, "I just got told off by James Caan."
That's what I loved about Venice. There was always like real actors there, you know. They just interacted.
And Gregory Hines loved bodybuilding. I'd always talk to him. He'd actually come watch the shows because he was dating, I think, or got married to Negrita Jade, didn't he? Gregory Hines and that.
Oh, did he really?
I think so. And then Dennis Hopper was the funniest in the gym. He'd always be up to some sort of crazy stuff.
Yeah, he was a crazy guy anyway in the real life.
I know. I was doing curls, and I hear this psst, psst, because sometimes you get the paparazzi that would try and get photos of him going in there to the gym. So I hear this psst. I turn around, he goes, Lee, he goes, you think they'll notice me today? So he's Dennis Hopper in just black pants, black shoes. He's got the black baseball cap on, these big black glasses that celebrities wear to be incognito. He had a black T-shirt on, but in white writing it said, actor.
He's an interesting character, Dennis Hopper. I love him. I think he's a great actor.
Oh, yeah, he was fun. You know, he used to be really cool to talk to was Rutger Hauer. He was a really good.
Oh, I love Rutger Hauer. I didn't know he trained there.
Yeah, then he went over to World Gym. When I went to World Gym, he was always over there after that. But then, what's his name? I remember when Johnny Mnemonic was being made with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves would come into the gym and run on the treadmill with that, you know, in the movie, he had that little briefcase handcuffed to his wrist.
Yeah.
So he'd come and run on the treadmill with the briefcase on his wrist. I guess he was just getting in the role.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner was always there too, wasn't he, back in the day?
Yeah. When he was Bruce, yes.
Yeah, when he was a boy. When he was a boy, not when he was a girl.
You get a lot of the LA Lakers would come in back then.
Magic, right, was there.
Yeah, Magic was there. And then remember there used to always be, I think you might have talked about it once before, on that telephone where people would ring up. The telephone would ring. It'd always be someone going, muscles. Oh, have you got muscles? The payphone in Gold's Gym would always ring. No one answered it. But if I was waiting, I'd tell my friend Kurt, I'm going to answer it. Hello? You got muscles? Are you a big muscle man? Every day it would ring a couple of times, and if you answered, it was just some freak on the other end going.
Lee, most of the kids watching this are like, "What's a payphone? We don't even know what a payphone is." You know,
it's a thing you'd go up to the wall. In the old days, you had to do this.
You had to dial it, actually.
Then it got really high tech, and it's like, oh, fuck, look at this.
And then everyone said, "Don't talk on the payphone. They're tapped." You remember? They used to tell you that.
Oh yeah, hear the clicking noise there listening. Yeah. but this, I don't know who it was. We never knew who it was, but this gay guy would always ring up. Have you got big muscly arms? How big? I think secretly it was Lou Zuick, because he used to always ring up people. If you ask anybody with Lou Zuick, when I was in Australia in 1819, I'd get a call at 3 in the morning. What are you doing? Fucking sleeping. What do you think I'm doing? It's 3 a.m. How are you looking? Okay. How big are your arms? Can you measure them? How big are your arms? Okay, who do you like? Eddie Robinson. I like Eddie Robinson, yeah. Do you think you can beat him? Do you think you can beat Eddie Robinson? But everyone I spoke to Lou Zuick, he said the same shit to him. He'd call him up at weird hours. Denny Hester, you ask anybody, he'd call him up and just ask these weird questions like, how are you looking? How big are the muscles? I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on here?
And the fucked up thing was that all you guys put up with him because he actually had connections. He had the American Muscle magazine, and he actually promoted shows. And he was a weirdo, but he was actually connected. So like you had to actually deal with him, right?
Yeah. Well, here's the one that originally was meant to bring me to America, but then he copped out on the airfare, and my friend paid for my ticket to get there and stuff. So he was full of shit. So we had a big argument, and you know, he was going on, well, you're fat, Lee. I said, have you seen how fat you are, Zuick? You're so full of fucking water. And then I told him, out of all the millions of Jews that got killed, I said, I can't believe he wasn't fucking one of them.
Oh, my God. You're nasty. Holy mackerel.
From that point on, he didn't talk to me anymore.
Oh, really? I wonder why. Well, I think the consensus is after my question initially was, what did people do there? And the answer is not much. Not much they didn't do, yeah.
Back to that question. The same shit they do nowadays.
Thank you for taking us back to the good old days.
And the female bodybuilders, they used to just wrestle. Go to the hotel room and wrestle. They did. You'd ask one of the bodybuilders, where you going? Oh, I got to go somewhere. And then finally one would tell you, oh, there's a guy flying in from New York. I got to go down to the room, and they like being, wrestled and
bear hug.
Submission and shit like that, getting their big thighs and squashing them between their legs.
I don't think people do that anymore these days, do they?
That's none of my business.
The underground network is just not there now that Ted Dixon's not with us anymore,
Well, maybe it has died off because women's bodybuilding's not as big now. So you know, as women's bodybuilding's not as big, the clitoriuses aren't as big, the fads died off. It's not like the old days, Dave, when those women would stand over you and you had that little speedball above you. You could fucking do that.
All right, it's getting a little out of hand. All right, on that note, on that speedball note, we're going to wrap things up. I'm Dave Palumbo with Lee Priest for another installment of Iron Rage. We'll see you next week.
Don't want to tell you how many times I went down on a girl and I got my eye poked out. That's none of my business.